Here we have the Poco F6 smartphone, and today we will check out all the specs and the features this phone has to offer. But first up, let's start with the unboxing. So we got the traditional Poco box. First we get the little package with the paper stuff, and there's even a free silicone case, which I always love to see. Below that we get the Poco F6 itself. I got the green version, but there are a few different other colors as well. All the way at the bottom you will find a USB cable and the 90 watts fast charging brick. Alright, up to the specs and the design. So the Poco F6 comes in 3 different colors. Now there is a black version, green, and a titanium color. So you got a normal size 6.67 inch display, which is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. There is a plastic frame and a plastic back, which is part of the reason you only need to pay 500 euros over here in Germany. Now on the back side you have a dual camera setup with a 50 megapixel main camera with OIS and an 8 megapixel auto wide angle camera, which is capable of shooting videos in 4K resolution and 60 FPS. Now on the front you have a 20 megapixel camera which can still shoot videos in 1080p and 60 FPS, but more to that later on in the video. Now you got the Poco logo in the top right corner, and the cameras overall don't stick out as much as other lenses. Now it does still wiggle around a bit if you are trying to lay it flat on its back, but it's just very minimal. So as for your display, you get a 6.67 inch AMOLED display with HDR10 plus resolution, 2400 nits peak brightness, and 120 Hz refresh rate, which is adjustable in the display settings. Now it's either 120, 60 or the auto mode. So watching your movies and videos on the smartphone is no problem at all. You got the auto display, which will give you inky blacks and a good contrast, and through the HDR10 plus resolution you will get great colors. There are even some advanced texture settings which adds rendering effects like blurring across the system to provide an enhanced visual experience, and you can even also change the color scheme. By default it is set to Original Color Pro, but you can also change it to Vivid, Saturated. There are advanced settings, plus you can change the color temperature. Then there is the AI image engine, which will upscale the resolution of your videos and enhance your videos, or you can select the AI HDR enhancement, which will bring out more details in the lighter and darker areas of your videos. Now as for the audio, I would say that the Poco F6 gets pretty loud, definitely louder than the usual smartphone, but at the cost of the sound quality. This phone also has Dolby Atmos and an equalizer with a few sliders that you can play around with. Next up, the battery life, and you really have to love the charging speed on the F6. Now through the 90 watts fast charging it only takes about 30 minutes until you're fully charged. Now through the 5000 mAh battery, which is a standard size for a smartphone like this, you can expect to get about 7 hours of screen time with quite a bit of playing. I was testing the camera, music streaming, but you definitely have to charge your smartphone when you go to bed. Alright, up to the features. First you gotta know that this phone runs on HyperOS based on Android 14 with 3 years of OS updates and 4 years of security updates. Now on the Poco F6 you will find a fingerprint sensor which is underneath the display, and in all of my tries this one works just fine. And if you have some sweaty or some greasy fingers, you still have the face unlock, and this one works very good as well. You even have a few different fingerprint animations. Now I got the neon animation, but there's also a starlight, dream, and an iris animation. So you can get the F6 in 2 different sizes. You can grab it with 128 gigs of internal storage or with 256 gigs, which I have right here. Now taking a look into the storage settings, you see that about 17 gigs are already used up by the system. Now this phone also has a few features, like you can double tap the screen to turn off and on the screen. There's a wallpaper carousel. You can double press the volume button to open up the camera when the screen is locked, and you get an always on display mode as well. You can add some custom images. There's an analog or a digital style. There are signatures, kaleidoscope, and other backgrounds. In the personalization settings, you can also change the size of the app icons and the font settings. So let's get to the performance and the gaming. So the Poco F6 runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 with either 8 or 12 gigs of RAM. Now during the day I didn't notice any slow processing, lags or anything like that. You can swipe through your menu, open up apps and things like that without a problem. So I hopped into Genshin Impact and played it on the highest graphics settings, and it was working without any problems, with and without the game booster. Now there are also a few extra features like you can take screenshots, you can enhance the touch controls, and there's even a voice changer. As well as the camera. Now like I said in the beginning, you have a 50 megapixel main camera with optical image stabilization, you got an 8 megapixel auto wide and a 20 megapixel selfie camera. Now the rear camera can shoot videos in 4K resolution and 60 FPS, whereas the selfie camera can shoot videos in 1080p and 60 FPS, which is still pretty good. You will find also a couple of different camera modes, like you have a portrait mode of course, with a slider to change the background blurriness. There is a night mode, long exposure, slow-mo, panorama, and short film. As for your pictures, I would say that these ones are not as vivid and they look more natural. Maybe it was just the bad weather that we have here in Germany, but that's what it looks like. But overall, the quality is still good, with a good detail level, even if you zoom in a lot, and just the edges of the objects get a little bit blurry, but you really have to zoom in really far to see that. Now, if you compare the main camera to the ultra wide angle camera, you barely see any difference in the colors, which was really surprising. So you can really work with both of them. The portrait shots, just like the normal photos, aren't that poppy, but the background blur is pretty good. I would say that the default settings are a little bit too much, but like I said, you can change and trim this down in the settings if you want to. As for your zoom options, the 2x zoom is great and just the 10x zoom is not that great. You cannot use those pictures. And guys, there we have it. That's the Poco F6 smartphone. Now, if you liked that video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more tech reviews. And I guess with that one being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.